everyone. Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I know, I'm all peppy.
Yeah, you're ready.
I'm peppy. I'm ready to go. We just watched a good movie.
We did watch a good movie.
And we just actually watched it, and we're going to talk about it right after watching it, which we don't do that much anymore.
We needed to on this one, though.
And we really needed to because it's a bit of a complicated, not really a complicated story, but it's the way the story is told is complicated.
Yes.
A complicated structure.
Yes. We're going to be talking about, is it 2001's? 2000's Memento. Christopher Nolan's second feature, but really the one that everyone was introduced to Christopher Nolan with.
What was his first movie?
Following. Black and white noir picture. Good movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It came out in wider distribution after the success of Memento.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very little seen until he hit big with Memento.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to talk about it. It was a movie that Chuck and I saw together when it came out in the theater.
Yep.
Out in old California, and liked it a lot then. It's not one that I've really seen that many times since, and I cannot tell you the last time I saw it until today. It's been a while, probably a good 10 plus years.
At least that for me, I'd say too.
And really enjoyed it. I was completely engrossed again by it. I disremember just enough that it was a fun watch.
Right.
I think that's why I didn't go back to it. Because it is one of those movies that once you're kind of like in it and you remember it, every beat, it's kind of maybe loses its watchability.
Right.
But man, yeah, I was into it and really enjoyed it. I liked what you said while we were watching it, Chuck. You said I'm remembering just like one step ahead of what I'm seeing while I'm watching it again, and I was the same way. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I remember this. I remember what's going to happen in the next sequence, but I don't remember what's going to happen in the sequence before that.
Right.
So it kind of kept it fresh and interesting. It was a fun watch.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff? When did you see this movie?
I did not see it in the theater. I remember it being briefly, at least, in the theater. I saw it about 10 years later. This is one of those movies. It's funny because we just were talking about this before we started recording. It was one of those movies where it's like everybody was talking about it. It's like, oh, it's a great movie. Like a movie that we're going to talk about next week, it wasn't really spoiled or anything like that. It was just, I had a lot of word of mouth around it of how cool the movie is. And I heard about it from everybody. And I was like, well, I didn't see it when it came out. Everybody else saw it, so I don't need to. And I'm not gonna.
You were a cool guy on this
Well,
one.
no, not really. It was like I have this weird fear of missing out, like a weird different, like not a fear of missing out, but like once I've missed out, I'm kind of
You're over it.
I'm over it. I don't need it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can turn into absolute utter resistance of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, fuck, everybody just shut up. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but this was not one that I was like, I don't really care. Interestingly, I've still not seen Inception, and I don't care to. I just don't. I mean, it's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, cool shit, boom, whatever, fucking great.
Whoa.
That's where that came from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I know this movie. I don't need to see it.
You do need to see it.
I might,
So
but
what
I'm
was
not.
your interpretation of the spinning top then?
Oh fuck! I don't care. I don't care.
That's a movie I would rather us never cover, to be honest.
Well, there you go. I will continue not seeing this movie then.
Oh, yeah.
But Memento wasn't one of those ones that I outright resisted. It just was like, yeah, I missed out and whatever, you know. But then I did watch it, and yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and I'm not going to say that coming back around to stuff doesn't. I mean, I don't receive it well, even if I was kind of like, whatever, because like. The Matrix was a famous one where it's like I resisted.
Yeah.
Like after 3 weeks in the theater, I got other shit to do. You know, Star Wars is coming out. Fuck off.
Damn, if I lived my life that way, I'd never see anything.
Right?
Because I rarely ever see anything within 3 weeks.
I just take Polaroids of the box covers and it's like write something on the back. Never watch this movie.
Never watched this movie.
Yeah. And then I put it on my murder wall. But anyway, it's one of those ones where it's like. It's not most of the time. I can say, yeah, I saw it, or, it's like most of the time I will come back around to that stuff that I miss out. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
And just sometimes I don't ever see it because the boat is really missed,
Okay.
or the boat has really sailed.
So that's
what I meant.
So this
This
ties
is a
into our
positive.
what we do in the shadows conversation that
Earlier. Yeah.
that
It's
from
like,
earlier.
just,
he's now actively resisting it.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not actively resisting it. It's just that it's like the boat has kind of sailed for right now.
Okay.
Not to say that the boat will never come back to port. This one did, and I really like.
Maybe we
Memento.
just need to tell you that like Cameron Mitchell is in it or something.
Oh
Then you'll-
shit, he's in it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's a really big part in it. For me,
No,
for me, this was Christopher Nolan. Like, not this movie specifically, because I'd seen Memento, then I watched Insomnia. I like both of those. Another one
I like
have
Insomnia. I saw that one in the
Yeah,
theater.
I have not seen that in a long time either.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But by the time Batman Begins and then The Prestige come out, I'm like, this is my favorite director,
Sure.
Christopher Nolan. Oddly, I haven't seen his last two movies. I haven't seen Dunkirk and I haven't seen Tenet. I don't know why.
Well, Dunkirk was one that I really wanted to resist that one because
War
again,
movie.
War movies
wasn't
yeah.
really what I was feeling. Saw it in the IMAX though because fuck, I want to see this because it's supposed to be amazing, right, visually and all this, and I thought it was fine. Like it's a fine movie, but personally, I know it was like Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie of the 2000s or something, but I think it's just all right. Tenet I didn't care for.
Yeah, I have not watched it, and I don't know why. I think I'm kind of afraid to watch it in ways.
Well, you don't want to see your favorite director fail.
Yeah,
If that's the word of mouth that you're hearing.
right. And I also, it's like 2.5 hours. Like I don't sign up for that very often anymore. I don't know why. Like I won't watch a 2.5 hour movie probably unless it's on the schedule. Like
Fair enough.
I need to watch this, but at the same time, like I love Christopher Nolan, so I can't imagine disliking it. But maybe it won't be my favorite.
I think I'm like 50-50 on Nolan, to be honest.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also made one of your, I mean, we talked
I
about.
love The Prestige.
Yeah, we talked about The Prestige. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
And I think that The Prestige and Memento, I think, are the two of his non-Batman movies that I feel are his best.
I would agree with that.
And they have, in a lot of ways, they have kind of similar story structure, right? Like sort of out of sequence stuff happening, sort of audience manipulation through editing a little bit, right? Yeah. But never also like taking the audience for granted, never being never talking down to the audience,
Right.
Letting the audience unravel things as characters are, right? And that's very much like this. It's interesting. Memento is interesting because you can watch this in chronological order on the Blu-ray, and I've not done that, but I've heard from people that also really like our friend Dave. I believe, and maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but I believe this is a movie that he likes a lot that works both ways. Like you can watch it chronologically, and it works as a really tight written thriller. But obviously the gimmick is it's a backward reveal, and the twist is the first thing kind of that happens chronologically in the movie almost.
Right.
And you're all kind of working back to there. I remembered the twist, but I didn't remember exactly how it gets there.
Right.
Right. And that's fun. I mean, that to me is the sign of a well-told story, is that you can where it's all heading in a lot of ways, but it's really interested in how it's going to get there. Right.
That's why I can watch The Usual Suspects over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how long that playthrough is if you watch it straight through. I bet it can't be longer than an hour, because there's a lot of repeated.
Oh yeah, I think it does cut out the looped stuff. Yeah, because
I would assume otherwise you'd see them over and over again in sequence. So
I don't know. I haven't watched it. I'm kind of curious to though, and I'd also be curious to how they cut in the black and white portion, which is told in
Linear.
linear order. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just they just probably put it in the same places. It's just like flashbacked. Yeah.
Right.
Or I wonder if they don't. I wonder if they let that play as the first part, and then because it does meet those two stories.
Well, yeah,
meet.
because it blends
Yeah.
from black and white to color.
Huh. I bet that's I wonder. I want to watch it now because it'd be interesting to see how they edit it. I feel like this is a movie that you could edit a few different ways and it could work, and to kind of get you to a different conclusion. Not to a different conclusion, but to get you to a different sort of aha moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if this movie is at all inspired by Pulp Fiction because of that just the storytelling, the narrative piece of it, how they tell that story. But I guess that's neither here nor there.
I mean, Tarantino gets a lot of credit for the story structure of Pulp Fiction, but he wasn't the first to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people, and Nolan's probably one of them, that have seen the movies that are precursors. I certainly didn't. Probably.
Nolan is definitely a film historian.
Well, I would also say that Pulp Fiction probably makes it easier for Nolan to sell this movie to an independent.
Oh, well, that's certainly true.
Yeah.
That's certainly true, especially in that time period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would be a hard sell.
Oh,
Like, I want to tell this movie backward, and then also have another part of the story that's taking place linearly, and they're going to meet in the middle. And at this point, like studio head is like,
oh yeah.
what's going on? What are you talking about? I can't even follow what you're saying.
Let's
Is there a hot chick in it?
Yeah.
Can we get that Matrix actress sold?
Well, this is no surprise. Paramount, 20th Century Fox, Universal, Warner Brothers, they ain't anywhere near this movie.
No.
But I bet after this movie, they wanted one of these movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
They're Team Todd now.
Yep. Yeah.
What? Yay. Hey, nice call.
Yeah, a nice callback to one of the production companies.
Yeah, it made $40 million at the box office for a $4.5 million film. Heck yeah!
For a movie that has what, 8 people in it?
Yep, did pretty well for Summit Entertainment and Team Todd.
Team Todd. Yep.
So, Memento. It's a difficult... I don't know how we're going to talk about this.
I have no idea either. We can just bullshit for the next hour.
Yeah, we
if you
could
want.
bullshit, but it is, like Jason mentioned, or it's been mentioned a few times, told semi-reverse and semi-linearly.
Man,
Good
Team
one, Jeff.
Todd had some big movies, man.
What else they do?
I mean, they started with Die Hard 2,
Ooh.
associate producer. Well, it's actually the Suzanne Todd, and she started Team Todd. But her first movie that she was a producer on was Die Hard 2. But she was involved with Austin Powers.
Ooh.
Hell, I like those movies.
I like those movies too.
Those are big movies. Those made a lot of money. Lots of money. Those are probably her biggest ones. But she was like G.I. Jane, Idle Hands.
Oh, Idle Hands is a huge hit.
We've covered one of her movies. Hudson Hawk.
Oh.
Oh, we didn't like that movie? I thought we liked that movie. I thought we all agreed that was a great movie.
I'm gonna give Team Todd a little love.
Yeah, it started the pandemic.
Yes,
it created the pandemic.
Oh wow, she was behind the If These Walls Could Talk movies. Remember this? Those TV.
Kind of. Yeah.
Weren't they like lesbian?
Showtime?
They were kind of like Red Shoe Diaries for lesbians, I think.
Yeah.
They were on HBO.
Taking notes. Gonna look this up later.
I could be wrong. Maybe it weren't lesbian, but
We'll just go with your memory of this.
Yeah.
Your
Do you have any
Memento.
Polaroids?
Yeah. He was flapping something. It wasn't a Polaroid.
Oh, no.
wow.
We are off the rails now.
Yes.
Well, that's a good way to get back on the rails, though,
Is it?
because that's
Flapping Polaroids.
Flapping Polaroids.
Come on, Jeff.
Just whip them out.
Because this movie does start with a really cool shot of a film developing and undeveloping, I guess I should say. It's a clear picture at first, and it starts to
Fade
fade.
as it's flapped.
I didn't say fap. I said flap.
This episode's X-rated.
And it's in slow motion. And then the reveal, it fades to blank, and then you see Guy Pearce. That's your
He puts it in
introduction.
the camera, puts the camera away.
Yep.
And,
Yep. And that's the movie.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Check it out. Short film. A little arty.
Somebody,
That is
anybody.
little Artie doing that.
Yeah, a little arty.
Yeah, it's,
Little Abner's brother.
Jeez. This is going great, guys. It's going great.
All right, so let's try to do this. This movie is disorienting. It drops
Only
you,
for the first couple scenes.
Yeah, right. You got to settle in.
You're right.
It's definitely one where I could see some people starting and being like, yeah, I don't think I'm in the mood for this, right?
Sure.
Because it does it really requires you to engage a little bit. But yeah, once you kind of settle into the format, then it becomes, you almost kind of start thinking that way,
Yeah.
right? Which is a weird sensation.
Yeah, because correct. Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, now how did he get here?
Yeah.
You know, and this is literally a connect the dots movie.
Yeah.
Except for it's almost like you're erasing dots
Yeah.
back to the nothing. Yeah, so it starts off with Guy Pearce. He's taking this photograph, and then it enters us into the technically last scene of the movie.
Yes.
Or last scene of the narrative. And he is going up to, he's at the lobby of this motel, in Nevada. And, Pantilano comes up and is like, hey, guy, how's it going? Lenny! And, they're going to go to this abandoned building. And Lenny shoots him.
Yeah.
Shoots him dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he takes the picture, which is what we saw at the beginning.
Yep.
Then we see what's going on before that, which is him, I think at that point, as he's waking up that morning.
Yeah. They cut it real tight for the first few edits, because it all happens like in his hotel room.
Yeah.
And I think there's maybe 3 or 4 sequences where he's piecing all the clues together. Over 3 or 4 different sequences while he's waking up in the hotel room that lead him to believing that Joey Pants is the John G he's looking for, and needs to die for killing and raping his wife.
Which really only at the beginning, we just think he killed the wife. We don't know. I don't think we know about the rape until late.
Yeah, we see it on the tattoo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is it on one of the tattoos?
It's on his tattoo, and that's written backwards in mirror.
Oh, okay.
But that
John
might
G
be,
raped and murdered my wife is what it says.
See, this is a hard movie to talk about because
Good job, Jason.
You
brought this to us now. Now you fix it.
because you have to remember it backward, and that's hard to do.
Well,
It's easier to remember it forward, because I could probably tell it pretty well forward.
Yeah. I mean, we could go through forward.
we could go forward.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. So we know that the gimmick is it goes backwards, right?
Right.
So, the thing is with the gimmick comes revelations that you wouldn't register the same way going
Right.
forward.
Right.
So the two important things to understand in this is, one, Guy Pearce's wife was raped and killed, and he had some sort of injury that was sustained during the attack that then, two, causes him to have short-term memory loss. And then kind of 2A, it's important that he seemingly understands this memory loss because of an insurance claim at his company that was made by what's his name?
Sammy Jarvis.
Jenkins.
Jenkins. Thank you. Sorry.
Sammy Jenkins.
Tommy Jarvis.
Memories die tonight.
A little after.
Memories die tonight.
Memories die tonight. Oh shit.
So, boy. Anyway, so then he, I was surprised I was quick enough on that.
Yeah, that was
Anyway,
pretty fast one.
yeah. So anyway, so he, so this movie then is one going backwards through to the point that he kills Joey Pants, because
From the point he kills Joey Pants to the point where, oh yeah,
right, because
right.
So one
to
narrative
the point where he decides that Joey Pants is his John G.
Yeah. So that's the color sequences of this movie is the revenge part. There's a black and white sequence that moves forward,
It's kind of like the Revelations part.
where he is telling somebody on the phone that we don't know who about Sammy Jenkins.
Yeah.
And how he had this accident and he no longer can he can no longer make new memories. Everything before the accident is the only thing he can remember. And that there has to be something mentally wrong, not physically wrong, because in short-term memory situations, you should still be able to pick up on instinct.
Yeah.
Memories of instinct. And that plays a really important part because the wife of Sammy has to live with the fact that the insurance company declines their claim.
Right.
And their lives are basically ruined. So there is almost nothing about this movie that isn't in some way, shape, or form there for a purpose, even down to the car he drives and the clothes he wears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah.
And kind of befuddling.
Yeah, it's
in a way.
It is wild because there are these little clues about things that are dropped that you won't even know are clues until you see the sequence that explains it, right?
Right.
But there are also big moments in the movie where you're like, whoa, what the hell is that about? That you learn, okay, that's what it was about in the next sequence, which happened right before it, right?
Yeah.
It's a really befuddling way to watch a movie, but man,
but it makes sense.
But it's it does. It puts it kind of gives you at least some little perspective on what he might be experiencing, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, but it's disorienting in the same way.
Right. Like the whole thing with Teddy in the car.
Yeah.
The whole movie, is he trying to steal his car? Does he want his car? Doesn't he want him to drive it?
Yeah.
Well, what's Teddy's right? And the other thing is, what's Teddy's angle here?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a drug dealer? Is he a killer? Is he, is he a cop?
Yeah.
Right.
What's his angle? And there is still even a question at the end about what exactly his angle was, other than seemingly letting somebody else do his dirty work.
Yeah.
Well, I think he turned it into that in a way, but it was the euphoria of everything. I think that picture that we see that goes under the door later that Teddy really liked.
Yeah.
He liked.
Yeah, that's what he says, and maybe that's true. But it's hard to say.
Yeah, because it is definitely hard to say because I don't feel like this whole storyline in Nevada is obviously just concocted BS.
Yeah.
I don't think Teddy has anything to do with what's going on there. He just found a situation where they could both benefit.
Yeah, it's like it's a
I agree.
They've both become vigilantes. One is the guy who does it, and one is the guy who supplies the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a
You're not a killer. That's why you're so good at it.
yeah. But that's a revelation we don't get until the end.
Yeah.
Because it's going backwards.
And and the way people take a disadvantage of him is interesting. Like he has a system and he thinks that he's doing all right, but man, there are so many people.
I would say 75% he's doing all right.
But man, a lot of people are taking advantage of him too, and he's very easy to take advantage of, even with his system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that's how we talk about it. Is through each character and his interactions.
Yeah, I like that.
Because telling it forward doesn't sound very interesting.
No, it doesn't.
Telling it backwards is impossible.
Well, Christopher Nolan did it.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's also very visual.
I was
right.
joking.
Yeah, I know. It is though. It's like it's a kind of a miracle of a movie in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah, because that's the thing. So I think the first relationship we have to, let's get one out of the way. He's staying at this hotel room, this motel, and he has struck up something of a friendship with the guy at the front desk.
Yeah.
But of course, every day he doesn't remember what he's told him. And he doesn't remember exactly he doesn't remember their previous interaction. So it's kind of funny because that's the entryway, understanding how other people have to deal with the Guy Pearce character.
Lenny.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being called Lenny.
Leonard.
It's Leonard. So he is... So we get the understanding that it is a chore to be around Leonard because he is always going to tell you the same thing that he's told you the last time.
Yeah.
And last time might just be a few hours ago.
Might be a few minutes ago.
It is a little inconsistent throughout the movie, but that could very well be on purpose too.
That's the thing. I imagine like living with this condition must be exhausting because you wake up, or you close your eyes, you open your eyes, and you don't remember anything that happened since, in the last, I don't know how many years, 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
A little over a year at least. Though you have to catch yourself up with all the tattoos and on his file and his notes. I mean, that in and of itself should take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So he's probably not even operating most of the time with all the information that he's collected. He doesn't have time to catch himself up. Well, he might forget. He forgets stuff that he's not. Yeah. Anyway, he doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to keep up with his own research.
Right. And his new method, because it has to be his new method, it can't be his old method, is to use tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To drop notes, because his old system, which he attributes to somebody else, didn't work. It was too confusing, the taking the notes. So he's like, okay, now we're going to do tattoos.
Right.
But his tattoos, maybe not, because his tattoos too are kind of, with the exception of the license plate one,
they're pretty vague.
They're vague enough that they could be reused.
Right. Which is, that's the point though.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking he couldn't have had, he's probably had that tattoo on his chest the whole time.
Yeah.
But then he was like, I need to add like facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that license plate one, obviously at this point, can't go forward.
Yeah.
But
so he so he it does bring up an interesting thing to consider about what happens after this movie.
Right.
But anyway, so he's telling the guy at the front desk of the motel, it's like, I have this condition. He says that so many times in this movie. And
I told you about my condition.
But but at the same time, it's kind of like when like, have you ever been approached by somebody on the street that hands you the card that says I'm deaf and blind and they have to, I mean, it's very possible you could encounter that multiple times in one day.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at. And what you have to walk by. And, I mean, it's to somebody who is not inflicted by that or doesn't have any real reason to care, it can be off-putting or upsetting, or it could make you feel all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Bert finds it kind of amusing.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
He does. And, but at the same time, it's like there is no choice but for that person with that affliction to do that.
Right.
And that's got to be exhausting for them because they have to waste so much time
Yeah.
and effort and, whatever to do that.
It's not as
constantly.
exhausting as it is for the people who have to deal
Right.
with him.
But
at
it's
all,
still
because
something
it's
that
new
he
to
has-
him every time he does it.
But he still has to spend time doing it.
Right.
You
But he
know,
doesn't
so-
remember the last time he did it. So it's not as
Right.
exhausting is what I'm saying.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is that he could eventually get to the stage where he has to do it so often he ends up losing track of what he's actually there to do because he's had to explain himself,
Yeah.
to somebody
You
exhaustively.
get in like an infinite loop.
Yeah.
Of forgetfulness. Yeah.
So anyway, Bert finds it funny, and he he's told his manager at the motel about this, and the manager responds by, "See if you can get him to rent another room."
Yeah.
They're basically it's the dead season, and
Yeah.
so they're basically fucking ripping this guy off. But it's seemingly that he is a man of infinite needs. Or means, rather. He's a man of infinite means, meaning what we don't find out until later.
He's got a lot of money.
He's already got a lot of money, but then he's got more money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I think the lot of money I'm talking about is the more money you're talking about.
Gotcha. Got it. You see, I have this condition, Chuck.
Yeah.
So there's
This
that.
is the fifth time we've recorded this episode. We're just placating at this point.
I appreciate it. Wait, what are you guys? What are you?
What are we talking about?
So anyway, so that's the first relationship we encounter with him. His relationship with, I guess the next important one is the one with Joey Pants because that's the next one we see him have.
Yeah.
Right.
And
We know he kills him right away.
we know he kills him right away, which then, because we see Joey Pants constantly behind him, constantly coming up on him.
Yeah.
Hey, Lenny. Our monkey brains think, oh, he's bad guy.
He's the danger.
He's the danger. He's always where you wouldn't expect him to be.
Yep.
And also, we don't like when people follow us. I mean, especially if we don't know who they are, which
He never does.
he never does know who he is.
And for the whole movie, Lenny has a Polaroid of Teddy that says "Don't believe his lies," so he's constantly distrusting him.
Yeah.
And in that first scene, not only does it say "Don't believe his," it says he's your John G.
Right, and eventually you
Kill him.
You get he writes that in, but there's a whole most of the movie does.
Well, in the beginning of the movie, it's there,
Right.
and then it's not.
Right.
And
Right.
we're learning why he writes
right,
it,
exactly.
kinda.
So it's kind of you're seeing obviously things happen in reverse, but you're also seeing the impetus moments for when he puts in clues.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of those are unreliable, and you kind of the reasons for those being unreliable also unravel.
Yes.
So it's frustrating because you can see him falling for misinformation.
You get bamboozled like he does.
And
As the audience. It's
there is-
really clever.
there is definitely one character that back-to-back scenes.
Yeah.
It's bamboozlement time.
Yeah.
And it's and we'll get to her here in a minute. But Teddy is always there. He's always hanging around. He always shows up. You think he's following him. You don't realize why he's following him at first, but it's like, well, if he's following, he's got to be a bad guy.
Right.
It tricks your brain into thinking. You become as paranoid as Leonard is.
Totally.
Plus, you want Lenny to be right in this endeavor, and the fact
Well,
that
you-
he kills him to start the movie is another way of the movie telling you that.
It's not what it seems.
Yeah.
or this is the bad guy
Yeah,
and he
sure.
died. Let's find out why.
Right. Well, you sympathize with Leonard in several ways. One, he's got this condition.
Never heard of it.
Anyway, guys, what are we talking about? Anyway, and then, but on top of that, it's like you feel for him because he has lost something.
Yeah.
And that is very easy to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah. But the third thing that's sad about that is while he's telling the story of Sammy Jenkins,
Jenkins.
He's
Jenkins.
You realize that he needs this to keep a purpose in his life. Otherwise, he'll become like Sammy.
Yeah.
Right? Just sitting in a chair watching commercials.
Yeah, that whole story with Sammy is sad.
It's very sad.
And it becomes even sadder.
It's only half true.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. I think when you find out that even that story, there's a very, very quick flash edit that happens that I think proves that the character who tells him that that's not what he thinks it is true.
I agree.
Wait, what are we talking about? What flash moment?
When he says that Sammy spent the rest of his life sitting in a home, not even realizing his wife's death. And there was a flash edit where Tobolowsky switched with Guy Pearce.
Yeah, I don't know though.
Even Teddy tells him
He does.
Sammy didn't have a wife.
He does.
And all the pinches. I mean, you know what happened.
But is Sammy? All right.
Sammy's a real person.
Sammy's a real person that had this condition.
But he had nobody to help him.
But he didn't have a wife that he killed with insulin because that happened to someone else.
Yeah.
So he conflated two things.
Is how
because his wife was clearly raped and murdered, right? I mean, that
she lives.
She only was raped.
She lives.
We see that in the flashbacks to that she's blinking her eyes.
Oh,
she's not suffocated.
That's
she lived through that. He had the brain damage, and he ends up
overdosing her on insulin
because he
conflates Sammy with his own
and he tells it from
I guess that makes sense when you think about it, because he can't fucking
that's
form
the real
new memories.
tragedy of this movie is that he's chasing a dragon that doesn't exist anymore really. He was the cause.
So when do you think? But no, that doesn't make sense either, because
no, this is his coping mechanism. But Teddy,
they were really attacked.
They were really attacked.
So they really did find the guy,
yes,
kill him that raped his wife.
Yes,
he just didn't kill his wife.
Right.
What you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
But that's what he led himself to believe. He
led himself to believe that so that he could take the guilt off. Which is also
it's hard to to buy it coming from Teddy as a character. You know what I mean?
Thing with this movie
because Teddy is
you
constantly. It's hard to trust him.
He is the most reliable and truthful source in the whole movie.
Yeah,
our lead-in character is an unreliable source of information.
But he may also. I mean, he's also a guy who has manipulated Lenny
I don't think
to
he's
kill.
manipulating him. I think he's helping. He's trying to help him. It's an interesting dynamic here because I mean,
there
believe
is a little
Teddy's story. I believe.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I also see what you're saying because
he's not
it is
a good
possible.
guy.
No, it's very possible that he says, "Hey, you know what? I know that there are scumbags out there. I'm going to use this guy to get him."
It's kind of like Batman.
Exactly. But he knows from all the times that he's heard the Sammy story, he knows that Guy Pearce is telling this story from his perspective. It's his brain trying to configure and reconcile with the guilt of what happened to his wife. So the story about what happened with Sammy with the whole, so, Sammy's had this accident. They go through all these tests because, it's like obviously something physical happened where we need the insurance to pay for this. He can't work anymore. He's basically screwed. And Guy Pearce comes in and it's like, okay, we're going to run this battery of tests. And he finds out from the doctors that short-term memory does not work this way. that it's a mental, it's
Psychological.
It's psychological break.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's true too, which means that Guy Pearce also suffers from the same thing because it weighed on his brain when he got injured, and now he's going through the exact same thing as Sammy. And the psychological break is that he did realize that he killed his wife.
Yeah. That's very interesting that, to me, that I don't even know how to say this. It's just weird that it didn't click with you that same way. And it's not a blame thing or anything. It's a...
I can read the movie that way.
Yeah.
And I do. And I can, you can kind of view it in multiple ways. I just don't know that that's the way I prefer to view it.
Well, you prefer to see things more from Teddy's perspective.
Because it doesn't totally jive also with his condition. Like, if he's reincorporating memories of killing his wife by overdosing on insulin, that means that
he does have some memory of...
Right.
But I think that's the whole thing.
And we've constantly been reinforced the whole movie that he doesn't.
Right, which is breaking him further. So he is, yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like both he and Sammy are broken in these cycles because it's, for him, now it's, like he, the way I see it is he had a very, very brief realization of what happened. And that is, oh, my wife just asked for insulin 3 times in 20 minutes or whatever.
Well, if I could say this.
Yes.
The whole argument about Sammy is that repetition should prove to build memory or actual natural reaction with him.
Right.
The one thing that Guy Pearce did constantly for his wife was give her insulin. So he has some kind of muscle memory of that. And that's why he's incorporating it incorrectly. Because he does remember this happening in a muscle memory way, but not in a reality kind of way.
Maybe.
That's how I get there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that sounds as good as anything to me. So yeah, by the way, we just jumped way ahead.
Well, it's so hard to do.
But you're right. But that's but that whole Sammy story is so important to what you find out at the end, which then sets the whole narrative and the color sequences forward.
Right. Which
is, for a brief period of time, Teddy has told him, and Lenny remembers that, hey, he's kind of using me to go and kill these drug dealers and these no goods, basically. And
he writes, don't trust his lies.
Don't trust his lies. This guy's basically an asshole at this point. So the one guy who believed him, who was trying to help him, ultimately is killed.
Undid himself by telling the truth and giving, and Teddy or Lenny had enough time to write
it down and to write down the license plate, and now he's become the target.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the actual kind of the actual tragic character is Teddy at that point.
A little bit.
It's this movie spins itself in multiple different directions in the last few minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is another one of those movies, and we've watched a lot lately, it feels like, where nobody is really inherently good.
Right.
I think Teddy's original motives came from a good place.
Just like Lenny's.
Just like Lenny's.
But they've both been corrupted by
it. They're trapped.
Yeah.
They're trapped in this. As much as Guy Pearce is stuck in a daily loop,
yep,
they are stuck in a long-term loop.
Yeah, exactly. Because every day Lenny is going to wake up thinking, I'm still looking for my wife's killer.
Yes. And Teddy feels like he can't just leave him. He can't run away from it.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
The question then, assuming that she did survive the attack, at what point does Teddy pair up with Lenny to help him? But it had to be after he killed his wife. Yeah. Why is Teddy still hanging around?
Teddy didn't kill his wife. Well, you're saying why Lenny? Why Lenny? So Teddy helped Lenny find The guy who attacked them.
Right. But at what point and why then?
They don't really say. So I would assume that he hears the story of Lenny killing
he doesn't match up with Lenny and Teddy don't get together until after Lenny's wife is dead, and he says, I don't remember what happened, or I don't know what happened. And then Teddy said, I was the only one who believed you.
Because in reality, his last memory is his wife getting attacked.
Right.
And then he's in this vicious loop afterwards.
Right.
And he makes all these statements, right, about there was another attacker and Teddy believed him.
Yeah.
And then Teddy probably saw a story that his wife had died or heard something about it and then approached him.
Right. Because what he doesn't realize is that the other attacker is the guy he looks in the mirror at every day.
That's inherently like...
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
a
leap.
wibbly.
There is a leap there.
It's a little wibbly, but but I mean, in truth, there is two attackers. One is just doing it unknowingly and unawares.
Yeah.
And so that has to incorporate itself somehow into that psyche. And Teddy realizes this guy is unfortunate. And that he shouldn't be looked at as somebody who's crazy or somebody who is not to be believed or not to be trusted. And so that's how I read it, at least.
Yeah. All right.
But I think there is interpretation
I
here.
do. And I think the unreliability.
Oh, that helps any case that Teddy has.
And also the case, it's reinforced also by Guy Pearce himself when he talks about memory and how memory is unreliable anyway, right? So Guy Pearce in Memento is the ultimate unreliable narrator. Oh, totally. Yeah.
Of any story ever.
Yeah. I mean, you're right in the sense that the person we should be least taking
truth from
Believing.
is the guy who can't remember shit.
Yeah. This brings up a question,
which is part of his problem that he has to deal with for the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
It brings up a question, though, because I do believe there were two attackers. And I do believe the first John G. was the actual attacker. Do you only think there was one?
I think there was only one, and that he himself is the second.
All three of us have different reads.
Uh-huh.
I think he himself is the second attacker.
That's possible, but who knocked him out? Who gave him amnesia? I know it's psychological.
I think he missed shooting the guy, and the guy just came up behind him when he was checking on his wife.
That's possible, too. Interesting.
Or at least winged him. Didn't kill him right away, but winged him enough to get the attack on him.
But no, I don't think that's true. I think there had to be two attackers because what's his name says he believes them that there were two attackers.
That is right, because Teddy does say there were two. There were two.
I'm the
junkies,
only one that believed you that there was a second attacker.
And we did find that there were two junkies who were so high,
they're so strung out
they didn't realize she didn't live.
But that's
alone.
if you at this point.
But
Jason
but
didn't.
One got killed. The other guy took off.
Yeah,
did not kill her.
Right.
And so the guy, so that's where I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Is saying that the second person who actually did kill his wife was himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. For me,
not maliciously.
But it's interesting to me that all three of us have up until this point had a different understanding or belief of how this movie went, and we all really liked it.
And it's who it depends on who you believe too.
Right. You have to believe Teddy to think what Jeff and I do.
Right. And you have to believe in Lenny to believe what you believe.
Or I have to believe in Lenny's condition and how and the mechanics of it.
Right.
And that which is why I take what I take away from the movie.
Yeah, I take in that condition of Lenny's. I believe it. But I also believe what he says about the doctor saying that something has to come through.
Yeah.
That because you cannot live with no short-term memory.
Yeah.
Eventually, I mean,
it's that repetition. That's why I think the shots are. I already mentioned that earlier.
But still, that's wonky because there was no evidence that Sammy was reincorporating new memories into his psyche.
There is evidence of that, and it's very minute. because the thoughts that he had of Sammy. Wait, no evidence of Sammy.
Yeah. Although,
But that's an unreliable story, too.
yeah, it is, but it's not if you believe that he has all of his memories up until the point of the attack.
Right.
Well, but it goes back to his original thing is that memories are going to be manipulated anyway.
Fair enough.
And he keeps thinking his pinches on his wife's thigh.
I know.
Yeah. No, I'm just bringing it up. I know.
Yeah, he is broken in several ways. I don't think it's just the no. Sure, I think he's dealing with an immense amount of guilt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is why he is manipulating some of those memories. There are nuggets there, and there are things that are true. I mean, like getting an insulin shot. Those needles are so small that it would feel like a pinch, and so he's conflating that, and he's separating the story.
But it's also a weird
putting
thing.
it all on
It's
Sammy's quote unquote wife.
It's also like a really
who
big.
does look like his wife.
That's also though a really big thing to forget about your life.
He didn't forget it.
He's
This is like
he
suppression.
thinks he
he's
did.
suppressing
Suppression.
it. He's suppressing it.
In my opinion. I mean, I can see it from your perspective too. I think I am allowing that narrative, like allowing it to be true.
It's interesting because I don't need that to be true for this to be a good movie.
I agree.
No,
I agree.
I mean, there are several different ways
than
than-
didn't see it the same way than any. It isn't like I don't think I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just kind of fascinated by
It is. It's interesting.
I think it's also, I mean, because they're
or you're right and we're right and he's wrong. I want to incorporate you and you
Guys, I have this condition.
well, no, I mean, because this movie is manipulating the audience.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the first time we see Carrie Ann Moss, she looks beat up. She looks like and he says she will help you because she's lost someone too.
Right.
And so that's manipulating us to say, wow, this, okay. And in a way, you kind of see this chemistry between them.
and the person she lost is the person he killed.
Yes.
Yeah, and she doesn't know that, right?
She does not know that.
She knows he has his clothes in his car.
Well, that's true.
Right, which is pretty weird.
I think she kind of knows it, and I think she. So this is where
I think she kind of,
Yeah.
I think she's using him.
this is where
She
the narrative
definitely
is a bit
is.
weird for me. A bit weird because it felt like she was trying to pin something on Teddy because she was afraid of him, and she wanted him.
Well, yeah, he's a cop and he's been hanging around.
but she don't know that.
Well,
would assume she doesn't.
I would suspect that she would be very nervous, and we see it,
Yeah,
that she's very nervous around people who just hang around all of a sudden.
right.
And I'm guessing Teddy all of a sudden hung around because he needed to know who Jimmy Gantz was,
Right.
who this girl was, and the business that they're running out of this pub. So he had to have been there before Guy Pearce showed up.
Yeah, probably. Well, he was probably casing the joint.
He was probably casing it
to bring Teddy or Lenny in.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that she realizes that. Yeah, it's weird though because she's scared of this Teddy who doesn't know who he is.
Who's suddenly coming along and saying, I can score. He's posing as a drug dealer.
Right.
And she kind of plants the seed, like with Lenny, that this is your John JG. This is your John G right here. Look at his license. He's telling you he's Teddy, but he's really Johnny Gurman or whatever his name was. He's like, and she knows he doesn't remember that.
Right.
So she can use it against him. It's fucking wild. This movie is wild.
Yeah.
But what's her ultimate end game?
I think she's either looking for a way out or looking for a way for her to take over whatever business that her boyfriend had.
I think the missing clue to what her end game is who Dodd is.
Yeah.
And we don't really know who Dodd.
Right. We are just as much in the dark as
Would give us probably the final piece to her motive.
Yeah, it seems like Dodd is an associate of Jimmy's.
Yeah.
Who is looking for his money because Jimmy has his money, and he thinks that.
which turned out that Lenny now has that.
Yeah,
money.
and he thinks that that she had it. So she wants
Beer.
Yeah, what point? I forget what
Crack
point.
that beer.
What
Get
point
that
does
grog
Dodd, is
from-
Dodd onto Lenny? Because that happens.
Can you repeat that?
At what point is Dodd onto Lenny? Because there's a moment where he is.
Well, he sees.
No, he sees the car that he recognizes.
Yeah, he
That's
sees
right.
him in
He sees
Jimmy's
the
car.
That's it. Yeah.
And he's like, "Where'd you get this car?"
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a funny scene.
It is.
though.
That whole sequence
That's
is
a pretty funny.
When
scene.
when he chases them and he's like, "I think I'm chasing this guy." Nope, he's
He's
chasing
chasing
me.
me.
I remember, like, that is the distinct memory I have of seeing this in the theater
Yeah,
in
me too.
California, because I remember just laughing.
Yeah.
And I think the whole theater was just and it wasn't like a book theater or anything, but there were enough people there, and it
Yeah.
was just like kind of uproarious.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a movie next week that tries to do
well, it
this
succeeds
kind of,
once.
It succeeds once, but not as well as this
No.
movie does.
It doesn't really try though.
It's a slightly different. I mean, this is every bit as much. We didn't mention this at the top, but this is kind of the start of a 3-part psychological thriller.
Yeah.
This one's the least of the psychological thriller, probably, but it's there because it'd be fucking scary not to have your memories.
You know,
Yeah.
what's funny about that, and obviously this is a conscious choice by Nolan, is that he makes us not remember stuff.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're struggling right now, guys. I have a condition.
But he is showing us stuff that we should have implied memory of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't, because it's told in reverse. It's like he inflicts us with the same damn thing. It's fucking. It's
Yeah,
genius.
it is. It's
It's
genius.
pretty- it's pretty
really,
brilliant.
it's disorienting in the moment, and it only makes sense when you see the next thing. But then that memory fades.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
So I guess, all right, let's talk about Carrie Ann Moss now. So yeah, the first time you see her, it's like, oh, look, he's met somebody, or he's, he knows this person.
This is the hot girl the producers were like, let's make this.
Yeah, we need one of them Matrix girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, well, we can get the girl from the Matrix.
That was a callback to earlier in the episode, in case anyone forgot. See, you all have this condition.
Yeah. So like she meets him at a bar. She gooses his butt. It's like, hey, you forgot me. And it's like, wow, how did that? It's like,
Yeah,
did she
who's
expect this?
Yeah, who's
and she's kind of flirty with him a little bit in that moment, at least. There are times where there is some real melancholy when he keeps having to tell people, it's like, I'm like, are you going to remember this time? He's like, I'm sorry. It's very small. It's very minor.
Right.
But it's very sad,
it is.
because it's like, I got nothing for you.
But he smiles, like he's always got a wry smile about it.
Yes. And even when she gets his attention by goosing him, that plays into something that he said, that he thought that Sammy was lying about his condition when he was investigating it.
Right.
Because human nature is to pretend like you recognize someone even if you don't,
Right.
Right.
which is true. I don't know if you've ever thought somebody was saying something to you at a store and then you're like, hey, what's going on? No, it's the guy behind me.
Yeah.
You don't know that person, but you respond in a way that you
totally.
think, it's, but yeah. And, so you see him do that from time to time.
Yeah.
Because he expects to recognize people or his, that's why he takes the pictures to help with that. But, so yeah, she's like, hey, I got, the first time you see her, she's got the information about the license plate.
Yes.
That basically sets up the next scene, which is killing
Joey Pants.
Teddy. And so we find out why she thinks he would remember her, because he was staying with her
Yeah.
for a couple of days. And they slept together,
Yeah.
or at least slept in the same bed. I don't know if they actually slept
She
together.
mentions his weird tattoos or something else at that first meeting, but she's also very sweet,
Yes.
almost too saccharine.
It's because what we know about her is from the back of the picture is that she's lost somebody too. So it's like, she seems awfully cozy with this guy
Right.
to have just lost somebody,
Yeah.
and willing to, and then later on, it's like she sent him after this Dodd guy,
Mm-hmm.
which technically she didn't. She only told him that Dodd beat her up,
Right.
but that Dodd actually was sent after Lenny.
Yeah. weird.
Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, it's basically Joey Pants is even trying to tell him, it's like, you can't trust this girl. She's got, right, because he even forces, it's like, well, you got a picture of her, right? I know you got a picture of her. She's, applying that she's too good looking not to take a picture of her.
Right.
And he shows her, and it's a shit picture. And what's he say? He's
Nice shot, Leibowitz.
Yeah, and he's like, here, take my pen, write down she's not to be trusted, basically. Right. As I'm not leaving your car until you tell. And by the way, the fuck you doing with this? What was the type of car it was?
Jaguar.
Jaguar. Yeah, that's right.
What did you do? Walk into a Jaguar dealership in your grief?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as far as he knows, the clothes in the car is because of the insurance from his wife.
Right.
Yeah.
So, see, again, he's meddling with bad memory.
Sure, and he's justifying things. He's drawing false conclusions.
Yes, he's reconciling with things that he has done.
But the thing is, too, is like he's not necessarily questioning these things. He has nothing else to go on.
Right.
Than the clues he leaves for himself.
Right.
He's every 15 minutes or whatever, he's picking up all the pieces in a puzzle and trying to put it all together real fast.
And memory doesn't work that way. It's not a line of text.
Yeah.
There's feeling, there's color, there's smell.
There's instinct.
Yeah.
An instinct. Like your
Which is
memory
something else
that
Sammy, that's what they were saying he should have picked up at least, was instinct.
Yeah.
Right.
If not memory, he should pick up instinct.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most natural forms of thinking in any living thing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily instinct, but muscle memory.
Right. Well, since but
that's what I would call it, muscle memory.
They way
call
he
it instinct in the movie, but I think it's muscle memory.
It's really kind of more of the fight or flight kind of concept.
Sure.
If something doesn't feel right based on your instinct, get the fuck out. Stop. So that's anyway.
Yeah.
So but yeah, and he's like, I'm not getting out of your car until you write down on the back of her picture that she's not to be trusted. To which then he's already written down, don't believe Teddy's lies.
Right.
And he looks at the two things next to each other and is like, huh. And then he scratches out, don't believe or don't trust her.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because it's one of those things where if you do, think back to the SAT days, right? And it's like you're supposed to look at something like a word problem, and it's like you can know that Teddy can't be trusted, or you can know that the girl can't be trusted, and that you shouldn't believe his lies, but it doesn't say that he always lies.
Right.
Which means that maybe he's telling the truth from time to time.
That's what I'm saying. Memories aren't black and white like that. They're not a line of text.
Exactly.
There's texture there.
Well, and there's
but again,
linear...
he has to
trust that line. That's
the thing that's already there.
Right.
Which is the downside of not taking extensive notes.
Yes.
Right.
So,
but we come to find out anyway, he's willfully deceiving himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really, I mean,
or at least he had one moment to willfully deceive himself that sent him down this path.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So then he has, so we find out more about what's going on with the Carrie Ann Moss character, Natalie. And that is that she sent him after Dodd because she appealed to his goodness, to Lenny's goodness, by saying he beat the shit out of me because he thinks I took a bunch of money for a deal, and I didn't. So, I want you to get rid of Dodd.
And the money for the deal is in Lenny's trunk.
Yeah, it is. And so he's like, well, I'll go, I'll go visit him and put some bruises on him. What we find out right after that, this is the one scene that's back to back like this, is that Lenny put the bruises and the split lip onto Natalie. And who wants to say why? Because this is one of those scenes where you almost have to laugh because it's so outrageously mean.
Yeah. She calls his wife a whore.
Yeah.
and she calls him a not so nice name.
The old R word. Yep.
Yeah.
And a freak.
2 weeks in a row, we get the R word in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. 7.
I have this condition, guys.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're recording out of order, so that we're doing
Well, they probably said
doing
it
our
in
own memento.
Yeah, we are.
They probably said it in Gross Point Blank.
Probably.
The 90s were lousy with that word.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm surprised there
early
wasn't just a
2000s.
movie called that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Might have been.
Probably. Probably.
I have this condition, guys.
But yeah, she basically pissed him off to the point of him beating her up.
Well,
Then she left for like 2 seconds.
he goes back to doing what he was doing when she first came home, which is rifling through.
Well, he's trying to write it down. He's like, he doesn't want to forget it. He's like, I need a pen. I need a pen. I need to write down what just happened so he doesn't forget that she's manipulating
But what
him.
we find out later in
Yeah.
the narrative.
but
yes.
she came home.
No. He right after she tells him what she's going to do. She's like, I'm going to leave, and you're not going to remember.
But when she came home the first time,
when she came home the first time,
and said Dodd beat me up, he was looking for a pen already.
Right.
Oh no, yeah, you're right, because we're talking about the order we show it.
He was looking
but the
for
reason
a
he's
pen-
looking for a pen is he wants to write down
That's right.
that
Oh,
she
yes.
that
Oh,
she
shit.
is manipulating
Guys,
him.
yes,
Yeah.
guys,
I know,
condition.
condition.
She came in just before that. When she shows up, she takes all the pens and puts them in her purse, which makes the initial question he asks her at first, like, do you have a pen? She's like, yeah, in my purse. She has every fucking pen in the house in her purse. So
Gotcha.
He
Yep.
can't write it down.
The look she gives while she's just sitting in the car waiting is like, man, it's a little sinister.
She's very sinister.
She's extremely sinister.
Yeah, but then she does help him. So what's going on there? Because she runs the license plate.
Well, she does, but that's because I mean that is Teddy.
That's self-serving.
That's self-serving.
getting rid of the
That's
cop.
true. No, she does realize it because but she doesn't know.
Well, we talked about this a little bit, and I'm not sure if you were in the bathroom or not. Jeff said that he was probably around casing the joint prior.
Yeah.
And made her uncomfortable.
And so she
with
got rid
him.
of him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if he's a cop or not. She was uncomfortable enough probably to instinctually think he's a cop.
Fair enough.
Because that's what drug dealers are.
Yep.
That's what movies tell me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't watch movies. I can only watch commercials and cartoons. Anyway.
Does she? It's kind of left hanging what happens with that character because you get the sense she wants that money, right?
Oh, she totally wants that money.
But you don't see her get it.
No.
There's definitely more to this story.
Yeah.
1,000%. Like, I could see her becoming the next Teddy.
Absolutely.
But that's left up to your interpretation.
Right.
Kind of.
I mean, yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I guess are we ready to talk about this, or are we jumping? Because the question is, what is next for Lenny?
Yeah. He's now rudderless.
Yeah, I mean, you get. Does he write it down that he killed his guy?
And then he's just kind of floating.
And what
for
does
the
he
rest-
do then? Yeah,
Yeah.
What does Carrie Ann Moss do? Because he's driving around Jimmy's car. There's also probably other gangsters out there still looking for $200,000, right?
Yeah, that
He
doesn't go
know he's in his
unnoticed.
trunk with a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He knew once.
Well, well, but here's the thing. Dodd is still alive.
And
the
Dodd,
guy-
Dodd
so
is still alive.
he sent-
I have a feeling that Lenny's
He's fucked.
fucked.
His days are numbered.
His days are numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's not numbered by way of criminal coming for him, numbered by way of I've got nothing else to live for.
Right.
now.
He's watching
Right.
commercials somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
he's-
probably best case, maybe, depending on your interpretation of what is living.
Right, but there is like something to be said about the clarity in which he speaks at the end of this movie. Almost makes you think he's made a breakthrough.
Maybe.
A little bit, because he speaks for kind of a long time about what he is and what happened without forgetting what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because there are times in which he is inconsistent about how long he goes before he forgets everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I think we see that more at the beginning of the movie's runtime than we do at the end.
More the beginning of the story than we
Yeah.
do at the end of the story.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's no reason to believe that this is the time that he believes he got his wife's killer and that he's gonna reconcile anything in his brain, right?
Right.
Well, unless he
He'll
wrote
wake
it down.
He'll wake up the next morning
True.
and say, see that John G is the killer. And
Well, if he wrote it down, like if he
we
goes
don't
through
know.
his pictures,
We don't know
again,
what he does.
Right?
We know he took a picture of Lenny or
I mean,
Petty,
we can't.
but
we
all
can't,
he knows.
We can't even really trust that he ever got the guy. We really can't.
No. It's if you trust Teddy, which
Right.
I choose to do.
I do too,
Yeah.
and you don't, and that's fine.
I mean, it's hard to because
Sure.
he's already manipulated
Well, he's
them again, and that during the course of the movie.
Yeah.
This is I mean, if there's anything to take away from this as a lesson learned, is watch out for people who want to manipulate you. They are untrustworthy.
Yeah. Good point.
I mean, Carrie Ann Moss could probably do some kung fu.
She had her glasses and the white
She
shirt.
did. She did.
She did.
She is somebody I have never seen somebody who looks more comfortable and more everyday regular in a tank top in my life. Right? She looks like a tank top type person.
Okay.
I mean, that's just coming from like, I don't know, Matrix and this movie,
Yeah.
probably other things she's been in.
Yeah. I don't know that I know her from.
I don't either. I don't know what she's
honestly.
been in. I mean, I know she's always Trinity. It's like
Yeah.
that's and the Memento person.
Yeah, I really don't know what else she was in. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'd even forgotten because of my condition that she was in this movie until
Well,
I saw
I knew
her,
she was in this.
her credit pop up. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I knew she was in this because she's on the poster.
yeah.
She's in one of the pictures.
Red Planet, Chocolat, Disturbia,
Red Planet.
Pompeii. So
Oof.
these are definitely like the height
Yeah,
of her career movies.
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless you really like the Bye Bye Man.
Ooh,
I've heard stories about that. That one, I might have a chance to talk about that one someday. More like write about it, but yeah.
She's Canadian too.
Yes.
oh no.
Talking
about
more
that.
about that next week.
I don't know. What is this? What else is there to talk about here?
Yeah, I mean, this is another one. We've talked about this at some point in the past about how one of the most interesting things about memory is how unreliable memory truly is. That you will always have some sort of a spin on it. You never remember anything exactly as it was, which I think plays into the whole idea of the short-term memory
Yeah.
and how that's affected him, which I think also plays to our point that I mean, he's reconciling something that he realized he's done. Maybe he doesn't consciously know it. You know, I don't know.
yeah.
But it is a very fascinating thing, and this is a movie that has a incredible gimmick that shouldn't work and does
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah, it does.
You shouldn't watch a movie backwards. But you know, it's funny, they even make a point of saying that doesn't his wife read the last chapter before she reads the rest of the book?
I think so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that's something I used to do. I used to always read the last paragraph of a book before I read the start.
It's interesting.
And it's just there's something about, I think that always like was to make sure I wanted to be on the path of the story, because otherwise if you get 400 pages into a fucking book and you don't like how it ends, fucking chuck that thing out the window.
I mean,
Yeah, but you don't.
they can't all be fucking winners, kid.
I know, but
Even from the way this story is
I got
told,
limited time.
even the way this story is told, the ending isn't gripping in any way. Like the beginning, which is
No,
the
it's
ending,
the
not-
journey. The journey is the gripping part of the
Yes.
story.
Well, it's like little mini cliffhangers.
Yeah,
Like every 5 minutes, 10 minutes is another cliffhanger. It's like serial storytelling, but backward and in a movie.
yeah. Wild. Something that can only really be done once.
Well, at least once every long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we talked next week about Sevensploitation. I don't really think there was much Memento exploitation.
No.
I think there were a lot of people who, I mean, because really this movie, I think, Chuck, you're on to something, that this movie isn't made without the Quentin Tarantino style of characters, where everybody's kind of got a little bit of grit to them, and they're all kind of not good people.
Yeah.
You know, and certainly next week when we talk about Seven, there's nobody really good in that movie, but except for one person. Arlie Ermy hanging up on the anyway. But no, this movie, we don't know who truly is innocent in this movie.
Right.
I mean, even the dopey guy at the front desk of the motel is actively ripping him off.
Yeah.
You know, to which he takes with kind of a smile and a wink and is like, "Yeah, at least you're telling me."
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, well, you're gonna forget anyway. So
I wonder, and you guys will probably laugh this off.
I wonder how many times he's told him.
yeah, right.
But without knowing his name, Teddy calls him Bert in that scene. He calls him Bert. He's like, "You don't have to be so honest, Bert."
Yeah, I heard you mention that out loud, and I wasn't paying close enough attention to counter if he had heard his name or not within that moment.
It could be implied that he did a little earlier, but it wasn't.
It could also just be a mistake.
Probably.
But yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe he. Well, no. At one point, doesn't he also say, "Hey, it's me, Bert, from the front desk"?
Yeah, but I don't remember when and if it was in the same.
If that
was in the same moment. Yeah.
I mean, he says his name multiple times, but
Yeah.
I don't believe he does in that scene.
Maybe he just assumes that's what maybe that's just what he remembers Bert looking like from Sesame Street.
Yeah, maybe.
You knew where I was going before I even got there.
Oh wait, did he have a picture? He might have had a picture of Bert.
Maybe. He never showed one.
Yeah.
He's got a whole deck of cards of pictures.
Yeah.
That's got to be a long time going through to start your day.
That's the thing. Like every day, and then there's
multiple times
a day, and there are times where you just can't, and you have a sequence of events that happen that you just can't quickly document. Yeah,
Right.
it's nuts. It would be terrifying to live with that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he isn't just waking. Isn't like this. Should be like abject panic every time he cycles through. You know?
Yeah.
He's pretty cool and calm whenever it happens.
Right.
Like when he's getting chased, they use it for comedic effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one. Every time you see him wake up in the hotel room or wherever, he's like, "Oh, where am I?" You know.
Yeah.
But he also that is another thing that speaks to memory being there for him.
Right.
In some senses, when he wakes up, he keeps saying the drawers are empty.
Yeah.
And then he finds the gun the one time and he's like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
not what my normal experience." So
Right.
he is picking up
There's definitely like
some sort of residual.
repetitive
Yeah.
repetitive clues.
Right.
Like it happens so often that
Yeah.
I start to remember it.
Yep.
Yep.
That does seem deliberate. Yeah.
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 The what was the other? You want to talk about L&B?
Who?
L&D. I think it was D actually.
Oh, was it D?
Yeah, it
the
was
whiskey
L&D.
model. L&D.
So I don't know how much we brought this up in our trip to Italy, if at all, really. Maybe
I don't know. I think we should explain the fascination of a particular brand of crappy booze.
J&B Scotch whiskey is, most people have seen it in The Thing that watch horror movies. That's like probably the biggest movie I've seen it in.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't even know, Jason. I think you.
Oh, there's a whole J&B outdoor patio in the opening sequence to The Living Daylights.
Oh yeah.
He drives through it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty well documented that J&B Scotch was just lousy in Italian movies in the 70s.
Everywhere.
In the late 60s through the 70s, probably into the 80s.
There were often two bottles next to each other.
Yeah.
Of the stuff.
And they
Can't get enough of it.
They were just a reliable sponsor. It really was the case. There was a whole section on this phenomenon in the Eurocrime documentary about
really?
yeah.
That's awesome.
it was just a thing. I don't know all the details. I can't remember it because I've got this condition. But
I saw you revving up to that joke.
but yeah, I mean, but in this movie, it's the weirdest damn thing because it's clearly the label is clearly a JMB label, but the initials are L&D instead. It's like what they didn't want to just bother to ask JMB Scotch if they want to be in a movie. Like I've only been in a million of them, right? But yeah, for whatever reason, the prop master made up a fake JMB label and slapped it on the bottle.
That's hilarious.
It's so weird. Yeah.
I would think JMB wouldn't even give a shit.
Probably not.
Oh yeah, it's like yeah, dude. It'd be like asking Danny Trejo to be in a movie. Which by the way, he was in this movie.
Yeah, he was.
Danny Trejo.
Yeah, it turns out that the guy that the last scene of the movie, he has a big mustache. He's got his hair slicked back. It's Carrie Ann Moss's boyfriend in the movie.
Yeah.
This
Jimmy.
is where Guy Pearce gets his clothes and car for the rest of the movie. And he kills him and he's laying there and he looks like Danny Trejo.
Yep.
I'm not making this up. You guys saw it.
I don't remember it.
My memories are fuzzy. It looked like him, so it probably was.
Probably was.
Probably definitely was Danny Trejo.
Probably
in this
definitely.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
My Polaroid says Danny.
Oh, okay, cool. Danny T. It's like your JG.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any clue in like the commentary. I'm gonna go on this L&D mission. I'm gonna figure out.
It is fascinating.
Yeah. It really is.
I mean, the guys.
I want to find out who prop master was on Memento and send him an email or her an email, or I'm not going to gender anyone, them an email.
You got there.
They probably wouldn't even remember if they were doing that movie or not.
I bet you if
We
I
haven't
showed
done
them a
that joke
Polaroid, if I showed them a
Wait, what's
Polaroid,
the-
they
what
would
joke?
remember.
Yeah.
Or like, oh fuck yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Right on the back. Who made this? Did they forget who J&B was? Anyway.
Right? Maybe they just misremembered the initials.
L&D? Yeah, sure.
sure.
Close enough. It rhymes. Anyway. This is a very good movie.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I quite like it. I quite like most of Christopher Nolan's movies.
You mentioned earlier that
Yeah.
he was your favorite director.
I don't know if he still is, but he was definitely during the 2000s. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm most definitely a big fan of Guillermo del Toro. And we haven't done one of his movies yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
None of them?
We've done.
No.
I've done many of them on Monster Mondays, but not.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe
Cool.
we should do one of those.
We
Maybe
should do one.
Maybe we should.
Probably Mimic. That's his best one. His bug movie.
Yes, I know what Mimic is.
I know.
We'll do a whole month of Blade when the new Blade comes out.
I don't want to.
This fucking guy.
I mean,
Anyway, did we do it? I think we did it.
we did.
Yeah, we
That
did.
was
I think we did Memento as best we could.
Yeah, it turned into a conversation about stuff instead of a conversation about the movie, and I think that's what this movie deserves.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's a very, very simple story, straightforward story. Guy wants to kill his wife's killer,
Yep.
Yep.
not really fully remembering exactly what happened.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. So next week,
7.
yes, in 7 days,
7 days. 7 days.
We will discuss David Fincher's movie about the 7 deadly sins called Seven.
in 7 days, yes.
Yes.
Yes, in 7
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Guys, we can keep going with this for
No,
at least
we
20 more
shouldn't.
minutes.
We definitely shouldn't.
I tried to end it right there.
Okay. Anyway, yes, 7 is up next. We've already recorded it. It's a good conversation. You could find worse ways to spend 90 minutes
Yeah.
Yep.
than to listen to that episode.
Yeah.
That is going to be found at filmseizure.com. You can also go to, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us there.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Follow us there. You can find out when things happen. You can also subscribe to the show. Places like Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Those are the places. Do those things. Also, in all those same places, on Mondays, I do Monster Mondays. Yeah.
What's that?
I know.
Well, that's the show where I talk about 3 things I like about a monster movie, no matter how good or bad they are. I'm a very positive guy on that show.
What you got up?
On Monday is The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Okay.
I explain, I don't know why I skipped that. At the end of the year last year, I did the movie after that. I don't know why I did the movie after that, but
It's probably related to your condition.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But anyway, Ghost of Frankenstein, that will be on Monday. This Friday at my website, which is bmovieanima.com, I will be writing about Hide and Go Shriek, which is a kind of a dumb little slasher movie, but kind of fun. Got some funny stuff in it, actually, that's not meant to be funny.
Those are the best kinds.
Oh, yeah. There's just this one part where they find a dead body and then they all shuffle off together in one group off the frame. It's fucking great. It's fucking hilarious. It's not meant to be funny. It is. It's very funny. But anyway, that's it's a decent little slasher, but it's part of that genre of kids partying at a furniture store,
Oh, yeah.
like your chopping mall,
Yep.
And so forth.
Classic genre.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dawn of the Dead started that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we can hang out in furniture stores and be safe. Anyway, so that's at bmovieanima.com. You can follow that on Facebook and Twitter as well. So until next week, when we really kind of get into a downer, I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
I don't know who I am.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.